Sitting on a chair in the California Stanford Research Institute. He was blindfolded and his hands were on the table. The CIA officer gave him a piece of paper with some numbers on it. The coordinates were of a place, but the name of the place was not mentioned. The man did not know the name of the place, the name of the country, or what was there. And then he started talking. He gave a description of a secret base of the Soviet Union. Silos, cranes, security parameters, layout, everything was absolutely correct. Later, satellite images confirmed that the man was telling the truth. But the surprising thing is that the man had never been to that place. He had not seen any map. He had not seen any picture. He had only seen it with his own mind. This experiment is called Project Stargate. For 23 years, $20 million US taxpayers' money was invested in this project. And one day, the CIA gave another assignment. This time, the target was not a military base. This time, the target was Tabut-E-Sakina. On December 5, 1988, an assignment was given to the CIA Project Sunstreak, Remote Viewer No. 32. It was not told what the target was. Only the coordinates were given and it was said, "Tell me what is there." He closed his eyes, concentrated, and then started talking. The target is a container. There is another container inside this container. It is a container made of wood, gold, and silver. There is a picture of 6-winged angels on it. It is in the shape of a coffin. And then he started telling the name of the place. He said that it is in the Middle East. It is under the ground. It is dark. It is a wet place where it is kept. Some people speak Arabic there. They wear white clothes. The dome of the mosque is also present. Remote Viewer No. 32 did not know what the target was until now. But you and I know that the target is Tabut-E-Sakina, whom he was looking for. The trust of Allah, which is mentioned in the Quran, which was lost thousands of years ago from the messenger of Allah. And the CIA was using psychic spies to find it. Now the question arises here, what is this remote viewing? How does this happen? Do Sufis and saints of Allah do remote viewing? What does Hinduism say about remote viewing? And what is the story of Sufism? Let's understand. This story begins in the 1970s. The Cold War was on its peak. The United States and the Soviet Union tracked each other's every move. Satellite spies, coded messages. And then America found out that the Soviet Union was doing something else. The Soviets were investing in psychic research, psychotronics warfare, i.e. experiments on consciousness. Can a person see a place without physically going through his mind? America thought that if they are doing it, then we will also do it. And so in 1972, the CIA funded the Stanford Research Institute and Project Remote Viewing Research began. Here a question will arise in your mind. What is this remote viewing? In simple definition, to perceive a place without physically going through your mind. No idea, no technology. This is called remote viewing only through consciousness. There were two people in the first experiment, Ingo Swann and Pat Price. Pat Price was a police officer. He claimed that he solves criminal cases with his mind. The CIA recruited him and gave him a test. And in this test, he was given a sealed envelope. There were coordinates inside. There was no name and no description. He presented a description of a secret military site of the Soviet Union. That is a house of crane operators, a railway line, building layout, underground chamber. Later, all this was confirmed by satellite imagery that everything was correct. The CIA was surprised. The experiments continued. Joe McMonagle was a U.S. military officer. He located a sunken submarine in the Atlantic Ocean. He described the location of the hostages in Lebanon. He described the surface of Mars. Later, in 1984, NASA confirmed this with its partial data. 23 years, $20 million spent and thousands of experiments. And the final conclusion of the Stanford Research Institute was this, which they officially published, that the results are statistically significant. There is a cognitive process that is not limited to space and time. I am not saying that remote viewing is a confirmed science. I am saying that the world's powerful intelligence agency spent 23 years on this phenomenon, and it could not dismiss it. But in these 23 years, there was a session that was completely different, in which the target was not a military base, in which what the CIA tried to find was our trust. And the description is similar to the description of the Quran. But what is it? First, let's understand what Tabut-E-Sakina is. In the Quran, in Surah Baqarah, verse number 248, Allah Almighty said, and His Prophet said to them, Tabut-E-Sakina means a box of peace in the literal sense. It was given to the Bani Israel by Allah Almighty as a sign of kingdom. But what is in it? Pieces of stone touched by Hazrat Musa's stick, parts of the original tablets of Torah, Prophet Harun's Asa and Manna. That is, the thing that Allah Almighty took down from the sky, and this box that used to go with wars. Whoever had it, he would have one. Then in 586 BC, the king of Babylon, Bakhtinazar, attacked Jerusalem. The original temple of Masjid-e-Aqsa was destroyed, and Tabut-E-Sakina was lost. The world has been looking for it for thousands of years. Indiana Jones' film is based on this search. And the claim of being in a church in Ethiopia is still present. Some say it is in Jordan. Some say it is under Heckle. And the CIA found it from remote viewer number 32 in 1988. The description found has to do with listening. In remote viewer number 32, what is written in its description has to do with listening. He wrote, then remote viewer no. 32 said something like this. So maybe it was the most disturbing. He said that this container is protected. Whoever tries to open it without permission will be destroyed by such a force that we do not know. This container will open when the time is right. The viewer did not know that he was looking for Tabut-E-Sakina. But what he said is found in the description of the Quran. It is found in the description of the Bible. And that protection, that force is unknown to us. But we know what it is. The CIA declassified this document in 2000. It is in the public record. You can download it. But there is another question here that will force you to think. Which is the most important part of this whole story? The CIA tried to do this with technology, with training, with $20 million. But this ability is already documented in Islam. The Sufis did this. With the nearness of Allah, with love and affection. But what is the difference? And who is more reliable? I will tell you right now. Now there is one thing here that is important to understand. The thing that the CIA discovered in 1972, Islam had documented it 1,000 years ago. Pakistan and Pakistan's heart Lahore, and Lahore's heart Data Darbar. Hazrat Ali Hajwari's Dargah, Data Ganj Bakhsh, whom you know by the name of Data Sahib. The Sufis of the 11th century who came from Afghanistan lived in Lahore and were buried in Lahore, and left a book that is still being published. Kashful Majub, that is, to unveil something that is hidden. All this was written on Sufism in the continent. It is the most comprehensive book. In this, Data Ganj Bakhsh has explained a concept, which is called Kashf. Kashf is the word of the Arabic language, and it means to unveil. That awareness when the veil of the heart is removed by Allah. And a person can see things without physically going anywhere. Data Ganj Bakhsh wrote that people who clean their hearts from the attachments of the world, for them, the thing behind which there is a veil, it begins to open on them. This is not just a mystical concept. Data Sahib has mentioned meeting more than 300 saints, that too, only in Khorasan. He documented such miracles whose eyewitness accounts are present. And this is not just about Islam. there is a tradition of Hinduism, and that tradition is called Divya Drishti, that is, divine sight. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna gave divine vision to Arjuna, so that he could see which the normal eye cannot see. Hindu sages through sadhana get it directly. In Islam, kashf. In Hindu tradition, divine vision. And in CIA, remote viewing. All three are knocking on the same door. And now the question is, and this question is very important, and the question is, which I often think, that if kashf is a gift from Allah, then why did Wali Allah shout? If this is God-given, then why practice? There is an analogy for this, and first understand that analogy. And that analogy is rain. If you want, then you can do anything. As a human, you cannot make rain. It comes only by the grace of Allah. But if you take a straight roofed land, stand on that land and make a roof for protection from the rain, then you have made yourself a place where it rains. The shout is exactly this. You are not making rain. You are just taking yourself to that place where it rains. That is the meaning of shouting 40 days of seclusion. And in the Quran, what is the extent of the reference of Moses? Allah Almighty in Surah Baqarah verse 51 said, "And remember when we made a promise of 40 nights to Moses, then you began to worship the calf behind him, and you were truly cruel." The messenger of Allah, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, stayed in the cave of Hira for a whole month. The first woman came after that stay. That is, the purpose of shouting is not to get kashf. The purpose of shouting is that the relationship of the heart breaks with the world. And when the heart becomes pure, Allah Almighty shows what He wants. Now let's compare this whole scenario with the CIA. The CIA developed the technique, made training protocols, made coordinates, made sessions. They tried to engineer a skill, but the Sufis did not engineer any skill. They engineered their own selves. The difference is that the CIA's remote viewer is learning to pin a lock, whereas the Sufi has the key to that lock. And the result is that the results of the CIA are sometimes unreliable, sometimes correct, and sometimes not. Because the technique depends on human effort and there are shortcomings in human effort. But kashf comes from Allah Almighty. Whatever comes from Allah Almighty, it is always perfect. So what is the question? The question is, where is Tabut-E-Sakina? Its honest answer is that no one knows where it is. In Ethiopia, there is a church in Askam named St. Mary of Zion. The priests there claim that Tabut-E-Sakina is there. But only one priest, the Ark Guardian, can see it, and no one can see it. What did the CIA's remote viewer, number 32, say? He said that it is in the Middle East. There are Arabic speakers, there are mosques, there are domes. It fits perfectly with Ethiopia, because in Ethiopia there are mosques as well, and they are near the Middle East, and the priests there already claim it. But I have another question, and the question is, why is the CIA looking for Tabut-E-Sakina? What is its reason? Any powerful nation on the basis of curiosity does not invest $20 million, they want to use it as well. Whoever has Tabut-E-Sakina, their story is different. The Quran and Islam have mentioned it, that whoever brings it wins. The Bible said that 20,000 Palestinians perished before the ark, they perished before the ark. It is not just a sacred relic, it is a symbol of divine authority. And a country that wants to confirm its authority, why won't it look for it? What the remote viewer, number 32, said reminds me again and again that the container will open when the time is right. The CIA looked for it but could not find it. Indiana Jones made a film on it but still could not find it. Archaeologists have been looking for it, and maybe that is why they did not find it. Because the time is not right yet. And it is not just a relic, there is another thing in this whole story. The CIA spent 23 years and $20 million to prove something that Islam had already described, to see beyond the time and space of the mind. Tata Ganj Baksh wrote this 1,000 years ago in Lahore. The CIA discovered this in 1972. That unseen world which Allah Almighty repeatedly mentions in the Quran may be for a pious person who has separated the attachment of the world.